10-foot section of one of these lines here, basic just side to side. Okay, go forward, 10 feet or so, then go back. Feet together, back and forth. When I say switch, you face this wall, same thing. Now we're going forward to back while we're going side to side. Very basic, right? So all we're doing is programming basic plyometric hops, which if you don't know, you use for everything. Punching, kicking, jumping, everything. Takedowns, this is everything. So just warm it up a little bit, especially if you're like, as soon as I hit 30, you had to warm up, otherwise you just get injured all the time. So this is more for me right now, so bear with me. I need to warm up in a second. So anyway, 10 feet or so, forward, back, all the way until I say switch, face the wall, going back, going back. Cool? Okay, find your own space. So, same little 10-foot section, right? But instead of going side to side, we are going to go splits, back and forth. But here's a little different thing, pay attention to. Pay attention to how wide and how skinny my feet go, right? I'm going down the lane, it gets thin, it gets thick, it gets thin, it gets thick, now I go backwards. Okay? Thin, thick. Okay, then I say switch, so then you're just gonna go that way. Cool? Yep. Begin. Do that, your ankles and all, so you're getting good now. Now, emphasis on warm up. You want to touch these for a little bit, not too long. We're not building endurance, we're not fatiguing them. It's just stuff you do before sparring, before fights. Just touch it. You do not need to burn out, okay? I can't tell you how many reps that is or how much time to do because that's your internal feeling. Some people are more conditioned than others. Touch the base, get it warm, get the neurological programming going. You need to touch that base. Don't just walk into a fight and expect to do everything great right away, especially in a competitive setting, right? At least touch that base, at least touch that jab in the back that you're going to use. If you're grappling, at least touch that scenario that you think is going to happen. Just touch it once. Get it close, muscle memory. You're just priming, it's called priming. That make sense? Okay, last thing to do for warm-up, basic, just getting deeper into the squat. You're going to extend out. Cut the angle a little bit, extend out, go left, go back, then I go to my other leg, forward. Okay? Touch that a few times, and then we're good to go. On your own time. One quick thing, then we're going to put gear on. So, we're trying to do like a big circle, but probably forward to back's the way to go. Anyway, if you're going to do a simple, basic thing, I'll explain what it does after, but this is what I kind of need you to replicate. So, from your stance, always using your cross side hand, the rear hand, right? So I'm going to step forward with my cross. I put all my weight on my left foot. Now I'm going to exchange. I'm going to punch with my left. It's this little hop. If you get confused, some people will step and use their jab. Just think always use the rear hand. Boom, 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 boom. It's just a little waddle hop while walking. Pretty easy. It should be easy, but you'll be surprised at how many people brain fart. I'll come around and pick them out. So what I would like is, you know what, we're in a big circle anyway. Everybody turn, face to your right. We're just going to do a big circle around. Just little hops and moving with the cross. Okay? Let me pick out who does it wrong. Go. Think cross, think cross. Yep, little, almost like I'm lifting. So, put in some sort of fucking podcast or something, go out in the woods or something, go on a long trail, and just do this for like half an hour straight from time to time. This is one of those foundational habits you need to do to build power. One of my focuses for the last 5 years was building power, because I was always a defensive fighter and I couldn't knock people out. So now I'm damaging people and working my way up. But anyway, that's what my career was about. What this does is instinctively triggers you to build power into a hand that's based off of that foot that just landed. Boom. I know if most of my weight's on this foot where I'm making a step on the ground, that's where my power is going to go for the striking hand. So if you just do this for a while, you build a subconscious habit. So then when you're sparring, you're always getting to the spot. Say I want to throw a hook, you load it first and then throw. Okay? It's just a habit builder. Only thing you need to do is do that little waddle and just do it for a long time over the course of weeks. That habit cures itself. Okay? That's the oversimplified version. It's simple. Just doing this. Now when I'm sparring, I'm always going to base. Do that little hop, just like jumping rope, everything. That little plyometric push is what builds the power all the way up and out. That is everything. I'll do a quick demonstration on the kick. I always ask people, where does the power from the kick come from? I hear it from all over, the twists of the hips and everything. It all factors in, yes. The majority of the power comes from the weight transfer of the mass of the whole body, right? Brief example is try to throw a kick. Say I'm going to throw my right kick without it being on the ground. Yes, I'm using my hips. Yes, I'm using a flip. And yes, I'm using my hip flexor. Is that very powerful? Not very. As soon as you use the foot on the ground and use that little burst to help build momentum with my body, moving this 160 something pound mass forward and making sure all the force lands on a single tiny point, that's where the damage comes from. You need this lift off. Jumping rope, doing plyometric little jumps, all of that is going to help everything. Punches, kicks, that little thing is everything. Back to jogging and doing the punch. Okay, let's go. If you didn't know, the basic meta of today is you kind of have to be able to switch both stances and do both stances to a point. It's not an exact necessity, but this is one of those drills that helps with the shifting if need be. Say somebody's not good against southpaws and you need to be a southpaw for that time. Train everything in southpaw, all the basics. Give them a hard time off of that. Like, things are getting very advanced very quickly in this sport, and all the martial arts sports, very quick. So anyway, shifting stance is always something I recommend, but yes, it's double the work. If you practice something in orthodox, you have to practice it in southpaw. Some people are better at their kicks in southpaw, some people are better at punching in orthodox. That's more of me, but makes sense? Okay. While you're getting ready, just listen up. I don't expect you to remember all of this. Normally when I do something, I do like 1 or 2 things a day. Make sure it sticks. Today we're doing a little bit different. We have a lot of stuff. I'm trying to download some information, but anyway, I'm going to present the videos in some way, shape, or form so you can hit repeat and look over the stuff again and again and again, okay? I don't know exactly the format yet, but I'll get that to you. So don't worry about everything, remembering everything right now. What I need you to get some sort of inspiration. If you can even see one new thing, and if you see anything you need to ask questions, please do. Just, if you can leave with some new thought, something you need to question later, that's awesome, okay? And review the videotape later. Cool? Yes! You looked at me like, no, not me. Oh, I'm going to take you now. Okay, keep in mind we don't have mouthpieces in, so we're just doing demonstrations, covering, so get close, but do not put, when we talk about building power, just touching, okay? And yes, if you're not throwing with power, that means it comes out faster, right? Don't be this person. It's not realistic, okay? Touch, 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 touch. You're just learning for now. Sparring comes later, okay? Okay. You get a fight. What are some of the things we're thinking about? I need to know what he knows. If you've been in the game long enough and you have tape, you can kind of know what they know already going into the fight, so I can get right to work. But if you're going with somebody you don't know, you need to kind of figure out what they do know. So how do you do that? You probe. You use your basics, you use your jab, use your low leg kick. You don't have to put power on it. Just formations to see what he's reacting to. I need to get information from him. Say I'm going to check his, or I'm going to kick his leg. How are you going to defend this? He's a check-in, right? And now I know 3 or 4 different tools I can use against that. I throw a big overhand. He's a slip. Okay, maybe I feint this and then come up the top. Download. That's what you need to do by using basics. And it doesn't have to be high risk. Like, I don't have to sit here and do the biggest thing and commit, miss, and then get knocked out. Like, I can just do this, a little feint. That's what we're going to get into. Important feints and how to do it. Most people do them wrong. They just don't sell them enough. So, going back there. I'm getting off key here. See, I want to go on one tangent on one other thing because of curiosity, but we'll say basic here. Okay, so basic combinations. I need to gather intel. So sequence. Was it? Dan and her said it pretty nice. I know he's a jiu-jitsu guy, but bear with me. Defensively, have a plethora of knowledge. Know how to defend just about everything, right? But when it comes to offense and implementing your game plan, have a sequence-based basic algorithm, and then have little tangents off from there. So for me personally, mine is the 1-2. Touch, touch, touch. Notice I'm not trying to touch him, I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just trying to see what's getting them engaged. And when you get up to the pros, they know their range so well where if I throw any punch from here, he's not going to do anything. Just hold still. So I need to get a little bit closer to start getting those feints on. But anyway, back to the 1-2. I do a 1-2 just to kind of get him guessing, get him up. Then I go off of a tangent from there. Make sense? Yes. I'm babbling on this one. But oh, I got it. We'll simplify this a lot. So, I'm coming in, I'm just gonna throw a big old overhand. I never fucking throw an overhand, but why am I throwing an overhand? For important reasons. I'm throwing an overhand, just go ahead and block it, so he can block it. I wanna meet it with force. I'm almost expecting him to block it. If he doesn't block it and it hits his head, guess what? That's a good day, right? I'm expecting him to block it. I want him to block it, but that's not the point of what's going on. I'm not actually trying to knock him out right now. We're playing a game, go ahead, little lights fine. Playing a game, little feints, I'm getting stuff, seeing what's fighting to, but then eventually I have to start building some sort of offense. I'm gonna commit to one. Boom, I wanna put force on his shoulder. The only object for me right now is to make sure he sees it, to make sure he blocks it, to make sure he feels the force going into his body. Do I have to hurt him? No. I put force into his body. Guess what? He doesn't want that on his face now. He knows you have some power, he doesn't want it on his face. This is important. So
that's just a tactic to get into his head a little bit?
Yeah, I need him to start respecting my feints. If he doesn't respect the things I can throw, he'll never react to my feints, ever. Same thing with the jab. I'm sitting here with the jab, and I'm throwing feints. Say like, most people, they just wouldn't do anything from I'm already out of range. But even if I'm here, I'm just throwing little sour feints with just my arm, not really full committing. I'm not even touching his face. Next time I feint, he's not going to bite on any of it because he knows he's rather not going to reach or anything. You need to make them afraid of whatever it is you're about to throw. The best way to do that is to establish it. Hit them with the damn thing first. You want them to be afraid of your hooks? Overcompensate, get in, touch them with the hook. See, now every time I do this, he's starting to block. That's what I want to start programming. The easy way to do it is with an overhand, okay? So we sit here, you're gonna grab a partner, play feints, you're gonna go 1-for-1, I'm gonna go first. Boom, that's it, and he goes. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect form or anything. I'm actually sometimes doing this slow on purpose. If I do the most lightning thing in the world, guess what, he didn't see it. That's a good way to get knocked out. I'm gonna save those in my pocket for later in the round or second round, right? But when I want to start programming people, I'm going to give them a story to read. I'm reading them a storybook. I want them to see the story. I want him to know I can overhand, and I want him to know I have power. I'll even go slow and then dig into it. Okay? Don't worry, it's going to make more sense from here on out. This is real complicated stuff later on. So anyway, I'm going to go first. He goes. I go. He goes. Back and forth for about a minute or so. We're just starting to establish it. Okay? Makes sense, Trey? You got to hit with it first in order for the feint to be effective. Then we're going to go into the feints. Okay? Okay, find a partner. Okay. So, now that I established that, we're doing a bunch of bullshit out here. I touch, cool. Now, see, I got the little triggers here. Now, it happens even as a precursor. It doesn't, he's not even looking at my arms. My base and my formation, see, I don't even need to put it way out here. Give or take. So this is a good explanation for like, there's a spectrum of levels here on like high up and high low. It's important to gauge your opponent on what level they are at. It's very important. Why? You could be way up here, almost like elite level status. Guess what? A newbie, they have no idea what you're fucking doing. They have no idea what your feints and stuff. They don't even know what's happening. So are they going to bite your feints? No. So they might actually get a bunch of lucky punches in, because they don't even see what's happening. So now that you know that they're down there, let's figure out what's going to work down there. Okay? That's how it is sometimes. Okay? And then vice versa. If you're facing somebody good, sometimes just button smashing is the way to go. Just start throwing stuff. Right? So it's important to gauge whatever the level of your opponent is so you can figure out what kind of tricks will work on them. So we established this, we went here. Now what do? I raise up again. I'm not going to actually put power on this. I'm going to still build off the same foot. If I'm pushing off of this foot, some attack has to come from this side. I can't push off of this foot and expect to hit with my left. I can touch with it, not power. Yes, there's a time for that. I'm not going over that today. Okay? So what we're going to do is go to the low leg kick. Feigning this right into my low leg. When people base in any way, shape, or form, if they defend, besides a check, it's a little bit different. When they base to defend, base to defend, base to defend, slip, their feet sink to the ground. They go to a solid base for that moment. So if you don't want to get checked, get them to defend themselves. So you can get a free kick there and not get checked. So you want to kick really hard without any sort of repercussion. Establish the right hand first. That's one method. You can do a million. So, touch. Boom. Okay? Go to the low leg. That's what we're building off of. And then it's his turn. He establishes. Feint. Exactly. Okay? And we're building from there. Any questions on it? You don't have to go on the second one. You can go like twice in a row. Conditions to switch are the leg kick though. Okay? All right, let's get to work. I'm going to allow you a little bit of freedom here. So we established the right hand's where we're going as the feint. So we need to get to the right hand first established, right? Touch him with the right hand first, right? And then we go to anything. What I'm giving you is freedom. We're not just going to blindly set up a right hand all the time. Play with your jab, play with the feint, touch, boom. Okay, cool, I established now. Now I can go. I'm just allowing the same project, the same scenario, a little bit of freedom. Play with your other hand as well, okay? But keep in the back of your mind, I'm still going to use that heavy overhand right as a way to set up that low kick, okay? And I'll say it one more time that there's a million ways to do this. This is just an example of how a feint is used. You have to establish it, right? You have to get them to respect it. Then guess what? Feint away. Make them your little puppet, okay? All right, back to it, but add other strikes there. Go. Questions on that? Feint building. I'm going to say it a bunch for like the next 20 minutes or so. Feint, right? So, he's got his hands up. Cool, he's closed. Hitting the gloves. Cool, I'd probably prefer to hit his face directly, right? So how do I get him and ask him politely to remove these and allow me to hit his face directly? Right, this is what feints are doing, right? I get to gauge and see what works on him. Cool, see how that opens up and there's a little bit more space in there? The low leg's open because he's based to block, right? Maybe I want to go to face, maybe I go to a hook. See how we opened up and he changed his guard here? So this is the kind of intel I'm gathering here. When I go for the hook, I can go up the middle. Then it becomes a speed game, right? So then I could feint, and I could also feint like I'm going up the middle and then come over without, like it gets very deep, right? But this is the essence of what feinting is. Feints open up opportunities for you. You just have to know them, okay? Know them, but I mean is muscle memory. This is stuff you have to practice on the bag. Like, I'll go on the bag or even shadowing. Most of the time I shadow now. So touch, touch, boom. Building a sequence like that. You have to have it in muscle memory to use it in sparring. Get it good in sparring before you use it in fights. Don't do something once or twice in training and expect to do it in a fight. That's not how fighting works. Not to get on a different tangent. If you're getting into competition, it's one of my pet peeves when you see people in the back of fights trying to teach something new. I'm like, it's too late. It's way too late to get that into muscle memory. That's chaos going on out there. You're going pretty much purely off of muscle memory. Whatever you're teaching now is kind of too late. So what I'm saying is practice, practice, practice till it becomes effortlessly into muscle memory, okay? Shadowing, bag work with a partner, but you need these things programmed in order to use them effectively. Does that make sense? I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? So, now we're going to simplify things. You can even do this off of singles. I'm going to go for basic my low leg kick, boom, and I touch. He's going to defend in one way, shape, or form. He could check, catch, slide back, I don't care. I go for my kick, cool, he's a checker, cool. I'm going to go to my next thing. I can feint that single item again, just like before. Like we did the right hand and then the feint with the right hand, I'm going to go again. I'm going to kick, he's going to check. I'm going to kick, he's going to check. I start it, but then I leave it. And then I step off of it again. This is another for sure way to get, especially if you get a checker, somebody that checks, to get a leg kick off without damaging your own machine. You only get so much damage on that thing before you want to stop throwing it or before it snaps, right? And usually you stop throwing it before it snaps, usually. But anyway, so we want to save that as much as we possibly can. So what we're going to do is kick, check. Sorry. I'm going to feint, reset, kick again. Okay? That's the sequence for this. If you're a little bit more advanced and that's boring, just keep kicking, get them to check, check, check. Do it on a random one, just so he doesn't know. The person defending, you're just checking, checking, checking until they get their good little tap, and then it's your turn. Okay? So get used to this slide feint. It hits or everything. Remember when we have to get people to buy? When you get somebody really skilled and they're already trained. No, I don't want to go on another tangent. We'll say that for the next one. Anyway, start this. I'll get that to the next one. Just kick. Okay? Check, check, check. So, we had this question from a couple people already. I'm going to touch up on it so everybody can hear. What if they're not buying the feint? Cool. Maybe sell a little more. Maybe they just don't do it in general. Like, that's the intel you're gathering. Everybody's a little bit different. How close should I be to establish that overhand? How close should I be to establish this? How fast should I do it? It varies on the opponent. Like, highly skilled people, a lot of them will result to, especially early in a fight, like, go ahead and kick. Nothing. I'm actually going to eat it. Why? I don't want to give him any of my tells yet. I will eat one or two without giving him information, because that's what's going to put me unconscious. Him taking my information and working it against me. I'll eat a leg kick or two before I start actually doing, go ahead, into whatever it is I have planned in my head. So, this might be a good sell, this might be a good sell. Sometimes even just this, if somebody's like that nervous, they will, if you just flick a hit, especially if they know you're a big low kicker. Or if any of you are heavy punchers and you go into a fight and they see in your previous tape that you're just the biggest solid right hand ever, this, they're already starting to do that. So you can use that to your advantage. So anyway, there's going to be variance in what that tell is, okay? It's going to be different from person to person. All right? So what I want to do right now, find somebody new, try it again, okay? All right, find somebody new, get after it. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we can move on. So, who had 100% accuracy every time? Good. Good. I fuck it up all the time. But as you get better, you get more reads, get with more diverse people, right? The better you get. All different skill levels, you can figure out what kind of makes people tick and the scenarios that make them tick even more. All right, so but let's go over a few other scenarios that we can go off of that low leg kick, right? So, in some way, shape, or form, I start to establish this thing, and you can check whatever you want or do whatever you want. Boom, he defends with the check. Cool, I even do my feint, but he manages to get there anyway. I'm like, crap, this guy is really good. What else can I use this? Now that I establish this, let's not forget about this thing, right? We're getting deep in the layers here of like trickster type shit now, all right? So he defended my initial. Even if I did my feint, he defended it again. He's just that good with his defense, that solid. Let's not give up on it. What's the next layer we can go to? That's great. We'll go to the next one. So I'm going to start with the same formation. I'm going to do slightly rounded, but I'm actually going to come up the middle and tee. Remember how I talked about when you base, right? When somebody's defending in one way, shape, or form, catching a kick, defending a takedown, leaning back, slipping forward, they have to go to 2 feet, which is prime for that. When you get a checker that's really good and they're always staying light, and a lot of them, like when you get really good, they can move easily forward or back one leg while defending in any way, shape, or form and keeping balance. So if you think you're just going to bully them, they will sit there and check and move backwards and then plant. Like, it gets good. So, there's always compensation, right? They're compensating for something. That's why they're defending this so well. He is light on his front foot. So no matter how many times they do this, he gets there so quick. Where's the compensation? Where can we attack him now? In this case, all of his weight's on his rear foot. He's over one item. Push him over. Push him back, push him over. One way to do that is off of something we already established, right? So like, checks, checks. I can even do my feints. He's just checking. Up the middle, push. Okay? Again, doesn't matter. Boom. Yeah, it's like a little swivel. That's going to take time to play with. Explaining that is going to take hours. But it's a kind of a start, a swivel in, and then up the middle. Especially if he checks and goes outward. Okay? Touch, swivel, touch on the inside. Okay? Questions? Play with that, please. Back to your original partner. All right? 3, 2, 1. What I'm trying to do is establish the same basic principle and same same base, which is feints and low kicks, right? Both of those things are kind of what we're starting with as the bottom of the pyramid, and showing you the different options for both feints and off of the low leg on things we can do. Anyway, but same thing. We got like another 10 to 15 minutes of striking, then we'll show you some clinch. So anyway, we start with the low leg, cool. If I really want to pound this, or I go to whatever up setup, there's different setups to this. You can even just blast it, yes. It's going to take time. It's nothing you can get in a week. It's going to take months of practice, and then you're going to start nailing it and sparring, and it's going to be awesome, right? So, a few more options off of this. He's checking. I fucking love checkers. There's so many things to do off of it. Like I said, boom, I can feint, come to the inside, that's one thing. Cool, another thing, I check. Oh, that's great, especially if he reaches down or a catcher. This works for both checkers, even better for catchers, people that reach down to catch, right? Go ahead and catch it, yeah. So if he's going down to catch, it's why intentionally, control is a good thing once you get to the high level sports. I want to throw this fast and quick. I actually don't want to put power into it. I want to get a bait out of him without trying to damage. So at the beginning of a fight, you might just shoot it by on purpose, just to see what his reaction was. Because if he's a catcher and I'm fighting a wrestler, right, and that's just all they do, cool. I might not want to give him my leg intentionally. I want to see if he's going to grab for it first. Right. Now I know he is, and I didn't really commit to it. There's a better chance I'm going to slip out of it because I didn't commit to it. The day I really commit to it, I'm getting taken down, swept, or something. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, I don't expect you to remember all this, but that's a fine little point for competition. Sometimes it is better to do control, meaning I'm not actually intentionally trying to do damage. I'm gaining intel. Now that I know he's a grabber, and I peeled out, now I know something next I can do. I start the same kick, he goes for the same grab, but that's where the question mark comes in. So it all starts the same way. We have so many options off of just this low kick. Imagine the jab or right hand or all that. There's a plethora of things for each one of them, but I'm just showing you. This is how feints work. You establish something, see what they do, because everybody's different, they have different styles. You should have an answer for any one of those styles based off of that one thing, okay? Like I said, remember I talked about at the beginning? Offense, have a basic sequence, basic algorithm. That's how you get wins. You need to implement that algorithm as efficiently and quickly as possible without extra thoughts. Okay, defensive is just reaction. Like that should be subconscious, right? Countering and defenses happen so fast it has to be subconscious. He throws, like he can throw a body kick. I don't really have time. Yeah, I don't really have time to be like, oh, what am I going to do about this? Am I going to catch it? I'm going to catch it. I'm going to sweep, and then there's not enough time for that. That's why I'm saying defense, go ahead. Defending, or go again. Countering, truly instinctive. You have to train those to subconscious, right? Defense is all subconscious work. You have to train it to reaction, right? Defense and counters. Offense, cognitive thought. You can actually think about what you're going to throw and the sequences you're going to throw. And then the foundation is another thing that supports both of them. Good footwork, good balance. That little punching drill that we did before, that's foundational work that'll help you in both offense and defense. But does that make any sort of sense? That has to be instinctive. Counters and defense, they have to be instinctive. Otherwise you're getting knocked out, okay? So if you're in sparring one day and your reaction to whatever they do is not enough or just non-existent, go home, write it down in your notes, and be like, I need to practice this until it's stuck in my muscle memory. You're going to find gaps. I still find gaps. I have a full list of at least 6 months to a year worth of things I need to still put in my muscle memory. I don't waste time when I come to practice. I know exactly what I need to add to my muscle memory, and I put in the work to do it. It's not complicated. You have a missing piece, fill it in, okay? It's not complicated. It just takes time and work. There's no cheat codes. Maybe at the start there's cheat codes. But once you start getting up in the higher levels, they'll find your weaknesses. So, anyway, I'm not going to do the question mark kick. I'm going to go to the more fancier thing, obviously. So I check, go back to the check. Check. Then we're going to go to that stupid fancy sweep everybody likes, all right? You know what I'm talking about? I've done it a few times in fights. Where I see a checker, cool, I have options. I can feint and go to the inside, or I can actually sweep them on their ass. This one's a little bit hard to practice, so bear with me. When I see that foot come up off the ground, especially if I just feint it and touch it, I fucking love it. I love it so much. I kick again, and I hope he checks. Now, I didn't switch my hips all the way over yet. The whole point of this was just touch foot to calf or foot to foot. I touch, and now, see how he's maintaining balance? The minute or the second, millisecond, he starts to go down and put weight on that foot is when I read the net. It's a feel thing. A lot of people will go at first, just maintain balance, you're not gonna fall. They go here, and then they go here. They're like, oh, I didn't get the sweep. He's still balanced on that. It's a trick, it's a timing thing. You want to make sure, they always want to be on 2 feet. Usually at some point. They check, they go back down to 2 feet. They have to go to punch, they have to go to jab, they have to go to kick, they have to go down to another foot. The trick is to remove this thing when they're going to step, make sure it's not there so they fall. It's a timing thing. So how do you practice this? You can even get good with a buddy if you need extra balance, just hold up your hands, right? I go to check, cool, I kick. Now from here, he starts to lower his foot a little bit, I feel it, and then I just read it. That's kind of how you practice this move. So I check, he places it, he waits, as soon as I go down, yes, okay, now I'm gonna go for it. Check, tap. It's a timing thing, it's a slight delay. You can almost feel like when they're going to start putting their foot down, it's a J with your foot. I kick, and then I pull it almost towards me and away. The timing is what gets the sweep though. It's not an effort thing. Touch, boom. Pop. If they don't fall, do something else. But anyway, one of the best things you can do with off balancing somebody, I do it in MMA all the time, I'll punch you to the inside and then you can put both feet down. Then I'm going to escape because I just used my powder, right? I'm going to put this out just to put him off balance. What does being off balance do? It gives me a freebie to get away. He can't do any offense to me unless he's balanced. There's always that one knucklehead that says, oh, the spinning back fist. I'll give you that, maybe. But it's not going to be full power because he's not doing full rotation on it. Okay? So, try it without. Try to just maintain balance. Go ahead, you do the move. I check, and then he does the read. Boom, that's all we're practicing. I'm gonna maintain most of my balance because I know it's coming, just so I don't tear an ACL in this. If you catch people off guard with this, they will start to go wonky and try to stay up and you might hurt a knee here. So just to be safe, you kick, you check, you see it, you go place it, reap it. Good. Of course there's attacks from there, but there's only one, we only have so much time with it. That make sense? Good. And then I'm gonna go, check, place, I wait, and then I move. All right, get used to it. I'll pull it back in and touch things up, all right? 3, 2, 1. All right, like this is a highly skilled one, like it's timing based. You gotta touch it, feel when they're dropping, and then time it to get it effective. Like it's gonna take you a while for that. Like I still plug it up most of the time, but like anything else, if it doesn't work with somebody, I'm not dwelling on it. I'm not wasting mental thought on like, okay, that didn't work, shit, I'm in for a crappy lane. No, I'm going to the next thing. It is that way sometimes in competition. Just run through your cycle again, okay? What I mean is, I have this little plan, cool, I start to implement, it doesn't work, guess what? They at least know I tried that plan, so now they might think I try that plan again, so I go to the next thing. While they're adjusting to my second thing, I'm going to the third thing, and guess what? I end up back in my first thing. You can have 1, 2, or 3 things, and just cycle through them. Like even at the elite level, you don't need to go through 1 through 10. Like different strategies, you don't need that. As long as you effectively cycle through them and they're always playing adaptive to what you're doing. I'm playing a low leg, right? So then they start adapting to defending my low leg. I go to punching, right? Now they're starting to get heavy with dodging the punches and blocking the punches, which leaves their leg open. So yeah, I guess theoretically you can go between 2 styles and just cycle through it 30 seconds every minute to keep them guessing. You can win fights that way. Cycling.
Like ball.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, be careful in that one in sparring, just because like some people might fall and plant weird. So just play with it. So it's a good defensive moment. But to reiterate everything, play in with the feints. Some people might react to just anything out in the blue, but if they don't, you have to establish it. Establish. You have to hit them with whatever it is. Jab, overhand, whatever. Boom. And now the next thing works. Now that that works, cool. He's gonna start checking, right? So if I know I got adapts to what I'm doing very quickly, and I just kicked him, I'm gonna go to the next thing. Cool. Now that he knows that the teep is coming, feint, go to the next thing. You can go, this could be a chain thing. As soon as you hit somebody with something, feint it, go to the next thing. Guess what? As soon as you go for that thing, you feint it, go for something else. This could be a chain. It can be. It's up to your style. That's more of like trickster based, like just games. That's how they get their damage off, is they always keep you guessing in that way. They have an algorithm in their head. They're not just randomly picking shit out. They have a system. They're going through it. So, let me see. Catch my breath. We're going to transition into clinch, but so what I'm saying is he's going to defend in any way, shape, or form. There's plenty of different things I can get off. But some styles do counter other styles. Now we're going to touch up on the stylistic thing. He's kicking me. Cool. He's doing whatever, doing any of the moves. Cool. Cool. It doesn't matter. Cool. He's kicking, he's kicking, he's kicking. There's a way to fake that kick and get to just about anything. Just about anything. The people that I'll have the most trouble with, which is a reason why I developed another style to deal with these people, is heavy punchers. As soon as he goes to kick, and the people that says, I just don't give a fuck, they're just going for the heaviest right hand possible. Those are the people you're gonna have trouble with if you're a kicker like that. If you start doing random kicks and everything, setting up, playing trickster, the people that are just like fucking boulders, that just stand there in front of you and just throw hands as hard as they can, you're gonna have issues with them. You have to do the best timing. So he goes for that kick and they just, boom. So, kinda hard to deal with that. Kinda hard, especially if they're just going for it every time. So you always like to have that thing in your back pocket, which coincidentally is having decent clinch. If you have a big heavy puncher, clinch them. Tire them out, maneuver them, shut them down. Best way they get people is the people that try to avoid and stay out of range, just back up and they try to do this, but then eventually they run out of space in the ring and then they can't, and then their foot gets blocked and then they get caught because they thought they were going to slip it, but they couldn't get back far enough. What's a safe place to be? Go ahead and try to overhand me. Here, I can at least stop his arms. Take away his power, take away his everything, right? Just because he's getting knees off and little punches off, I don't care about that. They're not powerful. So what I'm saying is you need some avoidance, you need some defense on the inside. Take again. You need some avoidance, but you also need some stuffing capability. Some sort of stuffing coming into a clinch. You need all three. Okay, to survive and not get knocked down. Like I said, I was a very defensive fighter for the first 10 years. It's kind of how I rationalize it into three different things. You're rather in range, out of range, or too far in that he can't generate power. Then it goes into a clinch game. Okay? So we're going to go into clinch here shortly, but we're going to take a 5-minute little drink break, okay? All right, get it in, come back out. We'll touch up another day we can't hear. Flawless and beautiful, right? So some things that are brought up on like other days too, on like developing like, where was it? Where did you say? Oh, developing counters and like not the exact topic we were talking about, but it triggered me to think of other things. But like developing counters, yes, muscle memory. Like say he throws a jab. To go here to the counter, yet again, like I said, counters are subconscious. It's something you shouldn't think about. If you have to think about it, it's simply it takes too long. If you're thinking about it on like, oh, let me get this, right? He's going to pull this back already and move on. You have to have it subconscious where it's reactive, right? It's got to be subconscious, right? So how you develop confidence in your counters, which you need counters, by the way. I had a little client this week asked if I was watching this tape and he's like, they just kept peeing off on me and I couldn't stop anything. I'm like, well, because nobody's buying your feints. He was doing feints like this, right? I'm like, nobody's buying that. They're not afraid of that, right? And also, he had no way to counter that. I like to describe it as touching a hot stove. Every time he hits me with something, anything, if I even just try to hit him back, it's like touching a hot stove. Every time he did this thing, he almost got hurt. He's going to think twice about doing that. You'll see statistically, if you watch somebody sparring when they're not countering people versus somebody who does counter back, the offensive person, they cuts their offensive volume in half, right? So people are like, oh, how do I defend this punch, defend that punch? Sometimes being offensive temporarily is your best defense. I just he punched me with his right hand 200 times, right? Because I never countered him. I never made him pay for it. Versus another round, when he does that, even if he hits me and I hit back, I guarantee you it's going to be cut in half, if not much less. He's going to think twice about every scenario he's going to throw that, because every time I do, I almost hit him back. Okay? What I'm saying is, it's healthy and good to have counters, even if you don't hit with them. Remember we talked about first, just put pressure on him, put some power that hits him in the shoulder. I don't need to hit his face, even if I hit his arm. He doesn't want that force to hit his head. He's going to be extra tentative anyway, right? So just have some counters programmed in there. Sometimes have some offense just to stop them and lower their volume. That's going to save your ass. Okay? That makes sense? Build confidence through repetition. Now that you have the counters, they're not going to hit you as much. Okay? And then being offensive, while we're talking on the confidence thing, there are certain scenarios where I can get 3 combos off without him. So I'm sitting here, we're trading 1 for 1, right? We're right here. He's in a full position to hurt me, right? I'm in a full position to hurt him. So people are like, how do I get in without him hitting me? There is a few ways to get yourself into a position where he cannot hurt you, but you can hurt him. Through basic strategy and footwork, right? There's probably, at least in my head, 5 or 6 different methods where I can just blast forward with it. I don't have to worry about shit, okay? That's for another day. For instance, I'll show you one. Here, a little deep. Right, so given the foot, if he's aligned with his feet here on the way they're pointing, pull that up a little bit. This is his cone of damage, right? He doesn't have much damage leaning on the back of his body. Like this is where he can throw damage. If I'm equal here, and if I simply just go here, he's still within my cone, right? This is where I can do all my damage. Am I in his cone? Like even that. Can he still tag me with the jab here? Cool, can he still tag me with the right hand here? He can, but how powerful it is. He's crossing over his hip, he's diminishing his own power. So when you get to pro level and beyond, even amateur, it's not so much about dodging every punch and blocking every punch. It's about mitigation of damage. If I can put myself in a spot where that power is not going to be as much, it's not going to be anywhere near powerful enough to knock me out, I don't give a shit about it. I'm not going to sacrifice my positioning. I'm actually going to eat it and then rock it.
Is that why a lot of high-level fights are circling each other? Because they're staying inside each other's cone?
That's one of the many reasons, yeah. You also notice they throw a lot of feints. And a lot of times they don't even pay attention to it. Because you can neurologically burn out the other person. If you throw feints and then they're doing reactions, they will neurologically roll out by the end of the fight. Depends on what your fights are. If you're doing 3-2s, it's too short, right? If you're doing more, then that starts to become a factor. Fatigue is another factor. If you want to start wrecking people, so say he checks very well and he's fresh. The minute people start getting tired near the end of fights and it's hard to move around their body, all that stuff, their openings start to open up more because their defenses drop. At the higher level, that's how most of the pros think now, in any of the sports regardless. I'm actually not going to try to get my knockouts or my submissions or anything until I get this person fatigued. So their overall goal is to fatigue this person first and damage their body. Because everybody's defenses are so crisp, so moving. They know exactly where to mitigate damage. They know all of that, and it's hard to get them in a vulnerable spot to really finish them. Of course, there's always a puncher's chance where you just overwhelm and get the good shot. Yes, that's a thing, but it's very hard to do. So what people resort to is, all right, I'm just going to come out here and they damage his hip. I'm going to bait up his body. They take away they push them to fatigue. They take away their facilities first, so then their defenses get sloppy, and then they knock them out. Okay? That's later on, though, but just to kind of show you what they're thinking. They're not even thinking knockout right away. They're thinking that for round 2. Okay? They respect their opponents and their defenses. Okay, clinches. Entries. We'll go to entries first. Actually, should we use positioning? Yeah, we'll do positioning first. Okay. I lied. Take them off, put them to the side just for a second. So, I know not everybody's using elbows yet or whatever, but it's important just to remember the ranges. So, different safety spots. Cool. Kicking range, right? You can hit me with kicks. Not so much punches unless he steps. Yes, we'll do that. Punching range. Cool. Knees. Cool, if the knees ranges here, cool, he's going to dig in. So the punch is a little bit longer than the knee. So kick, punch, knee. Then we get into elbows, especially when we're clinching. We got to watch out for these things, okay? They hurt, they cut, they knock you out. Dangerous, right? How do we avoid these? I'll give you a simplified version. Look at this bone here. Look what it's connected to. This is how far it can reach. If I can keep my face out of this reach, great. Probably 9 times or 99 out of 100 times, if I just stiff arm in any way, shape, or form, both of my bones can be longer than this? Most likely, unless you get like John Jones, right? Like I said, 1 out of 100, you're gonna get that guy. stiff arm. But the goal is to stay away. Remember we talked about the 3 ranges, right? It works the same in here too. I can rather be out of range, dead in range, or all the way in. There's no way he can hurt me with this elbow if I keep my head inside his loop. Towards his collarbone, towards his head, there's no way he can elbow. You can't really elbow yourself in the face. So if you bury your head somewhere in here, you'll never get elbowed. If you keep your head away, you'll never get elbowed. Elbows happen at this range and this range alone. Why? This bone does not break bend. It's a solid bone, right? So as long as you stay within or without, you're always safe. Does that make sense? Okay. Another rule of thumb to remember for elbows, controlling biceps. If I can cover his bicep in any way, shape, or form, we'll just use one arm for now. He cannot elbow me, at least very powerfully. If I cover his bicep here, the only option he has, given our hand position, is an elbow up the middle. But guess what? I'm covering his only path and trajectory up. If I keep a little bit of force here, a little covering, this is not going to hit me. If it does, it's nowhere near with enough power to do anything, right? Same thing on the inside. There's an outside tie and an inside tie. Just always remember, cover the bicep. Guess what? The only option he has now is an elbow over the top. But if I keep pressure on this bicep, he can't. We go to the other side, he can't elbow me. Cover the bicep. Those are the things to remember. Stay all the way out, all the way in. If you're in the middle, fucking cover the bicep or you're gonna get elbowed. It really is that simple. All the way out, all the way in, we'll cover bicep. Cover bicep, cover bicep, cover bicep. Cover bicep. I'll say it a million times over so you remember it forever. Because that's how we move people in clinch anyway. Covering the bicep, that's how we get the leverage to move people around. Okay? All right. Close back one. Let's do our entries. Offensive entry. Cool. We need to distract him to get to our clinch. How do we do it offensively? I'm a clincher. I'm going to get to him. I want to start clinching him around, throwing him around. Cool. It's simple. Touch, 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 touch. Get the coverage. Boom. Right there. He can't develop force with his hands. He's stuck. He can't punch me. He can't kick me. If he needs me, it doesn't hurt that much. Not enough for him to elbow. Cool? That's one way to get in. Basic bear hug. Punch, punch. Get on there. Ding, ding, ding. That's it. Cool. Now, lean. Lean is an important thing too, but not too heavy. Touch, touch, touch. I don't want to squeeze way too tight where I'm burning out. Just snug, and I push a little bit of pressure in. I don't want to go too far in where all he has to do is move off, turn, and I fall. It's just subtle. Boom. That's it. I'm walking with him. I'm keeping him snug. I'm not burning out on my core. Offensively, we're fighting. Ding, ding. I get him to cover. Boom. Now we're clinching. Hand position, you'll start to wrap up from there, but for now, that's all I want is the hug. Okay? You need to build that in the muscle memory version. This is the offensive version. So I'm going to go again. Touch, touch, touch. That moment of distraction is your entry. Offensive, you get in. Then he goes. He just does some sort of punching, anything. And then release. Okay? Any questions on this? You might want to call bullshit? Go ahead. Oh, he can elbow you up the middle. I'm like, that's why the distraction time is the entry. Okay? You have to get him occupied and get his hands in to be able to stuff them. Okay? Questions?
Do we have our hips under?
Very good question. Posture. Remember we talked about all the way out, all the way in, elbow. Posture is key. The minute my head leaves the center of my body, it makes it very easy for him to keep this off balance and put it in a vulnerable spot. So rule of thumb, if you're in clinch, try to keep this above your center of mass at all times. Go ahead and try and pull my head down. Versus here, like even if I go head up, it's still difficult. I'm already in a bad spot the whole time. It's exponential. Like here, it's nice. I can even lean back a little bit, right? Counterforce. But the second it gets here, I'm truly vulnerable, very vulnerable. He's got more leverage. I don't have as much leverage. Yeah, good question. Head up, come in. Of course there's exceptions, but there's always exceptions. Right? So, too much for one day. So anyway, punch, 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 get him to cover. Be a good partner, just cover. You're just building the muscle memory, okay? Gather. Cool? 3, 2, 1. Clinch is good to know because it's a world ender. If you got somebody that doesn't know any clinch and you know some clinch, it's easy to just both. Remember we talked about fatigue? If they're not efficient in there, they're going to overuse muscle tension. They're going to use more fibers than they need to do what they need to do to survive or try to offense or whatever. And you can just laugh at them, it's fine. Because they're obviously not doing the right positions and propulsions. But it's a good thing sometimes to force a clinch to get the other person to burn out a little bit. It'll take pop off their punches, which makes them less dangerous. Guess what? If they're less dangerous, say he's fatigued and he's got a solid right hand, remember we talked about mitigation of damage, right? If I know, just through experience, and I know I put in the work during that fight to get him tired, throw a right hand, boom. If he's fatigued and he's not firing on all cylinders, I know that's not gonna hurt. So I will actually take more risk now and stand in front of him to try to attempt to get things. As a defensive fighter, this is what I would try to get people to. I didn't want to sit there and give them, when they're full power, full everything, why would I just sit here in front of them and just trade? That's what their specialty is, it's not what mine is. So to get my offense off, I used to get people more tired, and this is what ends up happening. His punches aren't as powerful anymore. So clinch is one of those things to help get people tired. Not saying that's the only way, just saying it's one tool in your bag. And we talked about switching styles and switching between styles to get our desired outcome. Might be something you want to add to your tool shed. It's very effective. All right, we did an offensive way to get in. Distract and get in, and now we start this dance in any way, shape, or form. The other way to get in, defensively. Especially when I get rocked and you need to buy time. Like I said, when you're rocked and moving away, chase me and punch me. Like it's just a matter of time. I'm not even on all cylinders. He's going to catch me, right? And I'm definitely not awake enough to sit here and just do perfect slips all over, right? Your other best option is to force a clinch. It buys you time to recover. You need this in your arsenal. You need some sort of reactionary base to how to get in defensively. This one's fucking important. You need to train this one coming up. So I get hurt or whatever, what most people do, especially if they're orthodox. Majority of people in the plane are orthodox, cool, that are fighters. They're going to throw the right hand to try to end you, most of them. I'd say a good 90% of them. We're playing stats now. So I need to really train the defense of that right hand. He's going to throw the right hand, I'm going to slip to the outside. Guess what? After I slip to the outside, I'm going to come into the hug. It's as simple as that. I play loopy, I'm whatever. He's building confidence. He might even throw a right hand, and really I'm going to sell it, right? He's going to come at me again. Now I'm in. So he throws a right hand, slip, I hug. He throws a right hand, I'm just going to eat it. He throws a right hand, slip, hug. He throws a right hand, I block. Throws a right hand, slip, hug. It's that simple. You got to do this over and over again for months. You need this one in your muscle memory, especially when you're rocked. Okay? Buy time. Time gives you recovery. Recovery means you're not going to get knocked out. You're going to get more of your capabilities back so you can defend yourself properly. Okay? Make sense? So we'll go one for one. He throws a right hand, I block. He throws a right hand, I throw a right hand, he blocks. Throws a right hand, he ducks. Cool? All right, 3, 2, 1. I got slick defense and counters. Cool. All right, so we covered the offensive version. The defensive version, like I said, fucking important. The defensive version is to have a muscle memory, right? We're not wanting to get the clinch. We're wanting to stop their damn attack, for one, right? Unless offensively you want to get the clinch just because you're a clincher and you want to fucking bang them to death. But yeah, so anyway, offensive and defensive. One other way to get in offensively, a little bit more crafty. I mean, I've heard it called like arm cutting, like hand cutting. It's more or less positional. So, look at this arm here. To develop power, to really hit me, if I stuff it in, he can't develop power to hurt me with his hand, right? It's not enough room for him to work, he can't develop power, right? Here is like great optimum to develop power and hit me. But guess what? As soon as this becomes fully elongated, it's nice. I don't have to worry about this thing anymore. It's already expended its power. In order for that to hurt me again, it has to retract and come out again. So if you catch it right on the end of this extension, you don't have to be afraid of this whole fucking side anymore. So there's a bunch of different ways to use this as a tool, right? If you get this arm stretched out, that's everything. If you can even time it for getting this right outside of range, say he's gonna jab, and I time it just out of range and then follow it in, That's one way. That's high skill though. That's good timing. I'll show you the much easier way. I developed it in the last 3 years. I was just like, man, it's that fucking simple. And I started kicking myself in the ass. Where I'll actually extend my arms out. It's monkey see, monkey do all the time. The only reason I can logically explain or understand this is I extend my arm out, more likely than not, for some reason the other person extends their arm out, even just one. They always want to do that, monkey see, monkey do, because it's in their recent mind, right? They see somebody doing it, they know I'm extending my arm. For some reason, they want to do the same damn thing. It's like a primitive mechanism. Just play with it one day, see who does it. Probably 8 times out of 10, they do it. So if they don't do it, and they don't reach their arm out, just keep it in. All right, I'm gonna try something else, maybe just kick it, and then go back to it. Right? So the move to get in, I call it the rhino, because you just put your forehead on the shoulder. But if I can get his arm out, and I can even slap this across or down, notice his arm is elongated. There's nothing damaging here at all. There's nothing that can possibly fucking hurt me right here. This has to come across, and it takes too long. But like I said about mitigation, it's not at a good angle to really hurt you. So if I reach my hand out, get my hand slightly on top of his, shove this down as I come in, that's an instant entry without getting hurt. How do you get the clinch without getting hurt? Make your arm long or time your way to get in. Okay? So yeah, I hold my arm out, I shuck it down as I step forward, put my head right on their shoulder. You can even bang a little bit. Using some muscle there. Boom. And now we go to our clinch. So then he does the same thing to me. Puts his hand slightly above mine, shucks it down, put his forehead right on that. Okay? Alright? I mean, ideally it's a light touch. You just kind of come in and then touch. Sometimes you'll try to bang heads, but anyway. Clear, in. I'm in the range of elbows, I can't be elbowed. Yes?
I see that you're in southpaw position.
That's a good point, that's my preference. That's what I have programmed with them. Yeah, it does work the other way too. Try to go same side, because if I go here, obviously he's got a right hand, so that's why you parry with the same side. If he throws this punch, I parry here, because I don't want to parry this with this and get knocked out, so that's why you kind of stay there. Keep this here from blocking this. Yes, it works the same way. It does work the same way. That was my preference. I developed against orthodox people. I do much better with southpaw. It's just natural. Yeah.
Just better to pivot off your right foot.
Take it in, or
yeah.
I just want to, first things first, I clear and get in at the same time. I'm just clearing distance any way, shape, or form, and then I adjust. We talked about it over there, foot positioning. I can cross step. I cross step to get in, just because I'm so used to that fucking thing. It's a good point. It's a really good point. Or you can just come in, and then you want to go square. If you're standing bladed, and he hits the back of my leg and off balances me, I'm going to get swept easily. To not get swept, you want to stand square, especially in clinch, because he's going to pull me one way or another. I'll touch on that before we go. But anyway, simplify. Reach out. I get above his hand so I can shuck down, right? Because I don't want to shuck up right now. I want to shuck down and make sure that long arm is happening, and do that on my way in. I just have to get inside that bubble so he can't help me. Okay? Simple. Cool? All right, 3, 2, 1. Hopefully we'll get the film all together for this. It's too much for one day. I will admit that. It's way too fucking much for one day. So kind of touching the base while I'm here, getting the people to ask questions as we go, right? Review the tape later, pick one thing out at a time, work it for a week straight, whatever, 2 weeks. It's all up to your preference. Just get it stuck in muscle memory. It might take longer. You might want to do 2 things for 2 weeks, you know? It's all up to you. Exposure therapy. Do that thing for a while to get it stuck in muscle memory. So anyway, that's what I'm saying. We're going over a lot of things today, and I know I don't expect them to stick today, okay? Review the tape. I'll post it to my YouTube or something, then just go check it out as much as you want, or something. Okay? All right. So we're going to take gloves off in a second, but I just wanted to reiterate, okay, if for some reason we want to get to clinch, whether we want to do it offensively to fatigue them, offensively just to sweep the hell out of them, or knee them, or elbow them, or defensively, I get rocked and I just need to buy time. 3 different ways to get there. Offensively, distract his hands to get in. Defensively, he throws his right hand. Cool. And then the other way, the tricky little rhino, where I stick my hand out. Now, obviously I went to the leg because I'm MMA heavy right now, but you know what I mean. So there's a few different ways to get in. Hand cutting, which is the rhino, to get in. Make sense? Those are 3 different ways to get into a clinch and several different reasons why you need to learn to get into a clinch. It'll save your life sometimes. Even if there's not in the rules to clinch, you need time, fucking hug them. They're not going to deduct points right away. They're just going to separate you. Guess what? You just bought 10 seconds. Okay? This is useful in everything. Boxing, everything. Okay? All right. Gloves off, leave the shins on. All right, there's a ton of stuff we can touch up on, but I just want to go over the basic controls for clinch, stuff to look for. Remember we talked about before, all the way out, all the way in. Protect yourself from elbows because they're sneaky as fuck and they will knock you out and cut you. And they've broken my nose. So it's like, that's when I fell in love with elbows, and I love elbows. It's the day it broke my nose. I'm like, I hate this. I love this because I hate it. I want to do that to that guy. So we end up in a clinch. We're going to end up in just some sort of clinch. So we'll use one arm for now. He's going to grab onto something, right? Something. His hand is up. If his hand is not grabbing onto something, guess what? It's free range for me to do something. So he's going to try and hold something in any way, shape, or form. Granted, we learned a new lesson today of controlling the bicep stops the elbows. More often than not, they're going to start grabbing biceps, right? Cool, in one way, shape, or form. He's got the inside, right? I have the outside. There's inside ties and outside ties. Yeah, of course, he can grab my neck and things like that, but I'm going to go into that a different time. So anyway, inside tie, cover the bicep. I have my outside tie. I'm going to cover his bicep. I simply just cut across and reach for his armpit. This is enough to stop it. I'm going to do a little bit of a corkscrew force coming forward. This allows friction to happen, right? Cool. If he's not holding my bicep and not holding this very much, I'm just going to elbow him right away. He's going to want to hold this with a little bit of firmness here. This lace-up is going to be a thing. It's going to be firm, okay? I'm going to get everybody to try that in a minute just so you can kind of establish a base here. So then I'm going to swim to the inside position. I'm simply just going to uncover his bicep, swim to the inside, and then control his bicep again, right? He's going to counter me by simply covering my bicep. Because if he doesn't, I have a free lot right up to his face. He's always going to cover bicep. I'm always going to cover bicep. Now he's going to swim to the inside. Now if I don't control his bicep, he's going to elbow me right in the face. So I'm instantly always controlling bicep. Swimming. So he's going to stay here. He's going to swim. I'm going to cover bicep. I'm going to swim, cover bicep. That's it. Just get used to this game and be firm. Okay? We need to establish this first before we learn controls. Okay? Just always control bicep. I'm going to be the swimmer. I'm going to decide to swim. He's going to adjust. I'm going to swim. He's going to adjust. I'm going to swim. He's going to adjust. I'm going to swim. He's going to adjust. Then I'll yell switch. Then he's the swimmer. I just adjust. Notice the habits I have. Like as soon as he starts to swim, I'm immediately going for covering bicep. Okay? I'm going to walk around and correct each person. We need this established so we can get moving with the people, and that'll be the end pretty much. Okay?
We're doing both here?
Do with one first. Unless you're that advanced, go for it. Then it's alternating. For now, just do one, because I don't know his skill level yet. I just got to watch. Just pick one side, start the play. Then go to the other side, start the play. Anyway, 3, 2, 1. Too much babbling, more work. Don't worry, this one's like a huge brain fart for most people because they're like, I've never tried to control somebody like this in my life. I'm not grabbing. Like most people, when they pick stuff up, you grab it with your hand. So why the hell does this work holding somebody? It's a friction-based thing. Whether he has the inside or the outside tie, it doesn't matter. If I'm controlling the bicep and he's controlling my bicep, or covering, right? How do I develop friction and pressure here? I simply extend my arm. The more I elongate my arm, it's like a winding tree. The more I go, the more it causes pressure. He's going to extend his arm, and now there's a shit ton of pressure. Now it's about whoever falls off first. So if mine slips off, he has full access to elbow me in the face. So go back to that other rule of thumb. I hope we can custom this. Am I fucked? Not entirely. As soon as this starts to clear, and now I know he's at an opening, it's about to fall off. Guess what? I'm just going to stay as far away. I choose to go away. I know I can't control him anymore. He starts to get the better of me. I go away. You just go to one of your other options for defense, right? That's why it's important to get very fluent in all of these things. Understanding I'm too far away, right? I got my bicep control, cool. So the minute I lose my grip, I'm going to go to a stiff arm so he can't elbow me. But guess what? He could probably knee me or something. Like it gets advanced. But that, or if I know I'm losing control, I bury my head in and go to a different control. So that whole range thing is always in play, especially if you lose my bicep control. Okay? All right, let's move people and then go home. So I'm going to start with outside control. He's got inside control, right? We're going to use one arm for now. So now that we have pressure here, so he wants to hold on to this. This is important, right? I'm going to simply pull down almost towards his elbow here. It's going to catch in this little pocket here as I pull him away from his body. If you want to move, we're moving to off balancing people. That's what we're doing, okay? In essence, I want to move him off balance so he's out of balance and has to regain balance, because that's how you get sweeps. If I off balance while he's regaining balance, it's a great time to get your knee. You get your knee because you want to suck the energy out of him. You want to suck the energy out of him because you want to get the knockout. You see how it all works together? So anyway, I want to take him off balance. How do I do that? Given the grips we have, if I come pull on his little elbow pit here, right, and I pull it down to the ground, it pulls him off balance. Remember we talked about the elbow and this bone here? I always forget the fucking name of this bone. Humerus? Okay, humerus, thank you. It's connected to this joint here. If I can pull directly away from this point in space, this item, it moves his torso directly and immediately. If I pull down, notice his arm moves before his torso does. If I pull up, notice his arm moves before his torso. I want his torso to move. I want his center of gravity to move. So if I pull directly away, which is kind of like almost right here, his torso moves immediately. This is high level stuff here, find a little nuance. So if it doesn't make sense, I'm sorry, just pay attention to it in like a year. Come back and review the video. So I'm pulling this exactly away. And why this works, why doesn't it just slide off of his arm? Because he's holding my bicep, right? Well, what happens if he's lazy and he doesn't hold the bicep and it just slides off? Guess what? I need to elbow him in the face. He's got to pick and choose his poison. He's going to want to control that bicep. And if he doesn't, I'm going to elbow him. Does everybody understand? Yeah. If something doesn't work, whatever technique, whatever martial art you're doing, because they're compensating, there's another thing you can do to counter them. There's always. You just got to figure out what it is. Okay? So, I have my outside control. He has his inside. I'm going to turn and pull, get him to step, pull. Pull. Then, I guess we're going to go one for one. It doesn't matter. Inside or outside control, it doesn't matter. You're still doing the same pull down to the elbow. Say I'm on the inside control, and he's got his control. It works the same way. I pull, I pull, I pull. Pulling this down. If you find yourself slipping, then you're not holding tight enough. Okay? So grab a grip, any way, shape, or form. I don't care if it's inside or outside. One for one. Grab the other side. I'm going to pull him down into the side. Now notice my feet. I'm stepping a slight bit deep into the side, and then I'm moving my body out the way. Trying to move somebody is actually very difficult, especially, go ahead and reach down. It's very difficult. But if I move my body and get my momentum moving first, and use it to tug along, it's so much easier. So don't sit there and waste energy trying to lift and move people. Go ahead, move yourself. It's much easier to move somebody that way. And use that as a combination. So, get your grips, step, back step, and pull. Get your grips, you go, step. No, you can stay there, you can just stay there. Dancing. Cool. Go have fun with it. See if you can decipher what's going on. Okay? 3, 2, 1.